started with a lot of challenges in terms of reading gaps. So let's look at this in a very realistic way. Okay. And I want your teachers to really be, say, reflective of what is going on in your classroom and probably your challenges as, as member of humanity. Okay. Because I believe that in the several studies that I have conducted and have been conducting, I noticed that not only learners have problems and issues in terms of reading, also professionals, no? So as our discussion progresses, as my sharing progresses, I hope that we can realize that um, these things happen not only with the learners, diba? So I think it's important that we really need to be reflective of our own thinking and of our own process and our situation today. So we will look at reading gaps. And then the second thing that I would like to share with you is the role of digital literacy in modern education. Now we admit, okay, that there is really a problem in terms of addiction, no, with what we say, uh, the world of screen. Okay, but let's try to look at the positive effects because there are several studies done, okay, all over the world that validate and that support digital learning. Okay, so we'll look at digital literacy. So is it enough to say that we are digital literate if we have accounts in social networking sites like, of course, the very popular uh, Facebook, okay, and then we have the X and other social networking site. Are we digitally literate if we can navigate uh, websites, if we can navigate everything on the screen, okay? And if you try to look at the pendulum, no, of our clock in terms of what is happening in the education, we try to look at the shift from traditional to digital reading environment. Okay, so I know everyone knows how times fly so fast. Okay, and sometimes it's very difficult, no, to race against time. Okay, so there are challenges in this. uh, Shifts. Okay. So later on, I hope that we can be enlightened on that. And then we also have digital literacy tools that support reading. Okay. And this we our CNE is very generous in terms of how they can assist us, no, to become more digitally prepared. Okay, and I think we thank CNE for providing this seminar because it's really important. Sabi ko nga kanina, it's really difficult, no, to have this kind of we really have this race against time. No, our students are already digital natives, and as teachers, just like what I've told you, and I will always be telling you, my dear colleagues from the discipline of teaching, we need to be also smart. No, if we cannot be smarter than the digital natives, at least we can say that we are smart and that we are not lagging behind our learners. Then we look at the positivity of everything. So I'll be discussing to you some digital tools, no, and how they help close reading gaps. And this, I believe that CNE will indeed help us. And then, what are the best practices for implementation? I also included in this webinar monitoring and feedback, because I believe that everything, we need to have constructive feedback. So let's explore on this in a little while. Now, I would like to share with you some of the publications that I have because as part of the research community in the University of Santo Tomas, we are really encouraged to say publish our works because this is one way, one of the many ways on how we make we realize no the fulfillment of our task as an educator, as both teacher and educator to those who will become, who would want to become a teacher someday. So the first thing that I'd like to share with you was the one that I have conducted during the pandemic. Okay, so I'll be sharing with you some of the things that are basically aligned with my discussion. So I'm not going to share with you the entirety of the paper, but the papers that I will be sharing with you are the ones focused on the discussion today and the issues, challenges that we are facing as a teacher of reading. Okay? Tatandaan po natin mga ah, kapatid sa pagtuturo. Okay? So when we say we are all teachers of reading, sabi ni according to VACA and VACA in 2006, all teachers are reading teachers. So gone are the days that we say that when we teach math, when we teach literature, and when we teach social sciences, we are not reading teachers. Okay? So I hope that at the end of this webinar, we have this conviction saying, I am a math teacher, I am a reading teacher. Okay? So all of us are reading teachers. Now, one of the highlights of the study that I conducted on during the pandemic was to determine the practices, challenges, and coping strategies of MKOs. When we say MKO in the discipline of reading, okay, uh, MKO is the more knowledgeable others. Okay, so these are us, no, teachers, parents. Okay, so it's important that as MKOs, we also have what we call critical friend. So later on, as we discuss about feedback and monitoring, we will somehow touch that critical friend. Now, the one of the findings of this study is what are the challenges okay, faced by MKOs? Again, when we say MKO, these are more knowledgeable others. And in this topic, okay, I looked at the challenges of parents. See, I am also a parent. I have two children, grade 11, uh, sorry, grade 8, and one 11 years old, grade 6. Okay. So during the pandemic, all of us had a difficulty, right? Had difficulties of trying to adapt with the current, no, with that situation. Now, when I looked at the challenges, four things emerged. Four challenges emerged. The first one, okay, next slide, please. The first one is duality of roles. What do we mean by duality of roles? There are several parents or MKOs that have been that have found the situation very challenging because the first thing that they needed to consider or to think about is how to survive during the pandemic. Okay? We parents had the immense responsibility, okay? Because they only not to be they are not only functioning as mothers or fathers, but that time they were also functioning as teachers. And during that course, we had we realized no, those who are in the inner core of the education system, we realized that it is still important until today that we continue teaching the parents on how to become teachers, no, to their children. Okay? So now that pandemic gave us an idea that, oh my God, there is really some things that there are many things that we need to do in order for us to do something about the home literacy. Why? Because times like that, no, the responsibility of parents. I'm sure some of you, okay, are parents here, and some of you are doing two things at the same time, many things at the same time. Now, imagine our life during the pandemic, where parents who thought that the reason why they sent their children to school is to basically teach them how to read and write. But because of the pandemic, no, they realized that they needed to become teachers then. So what's their problem? There were scarcity of skills. And some, no, I can really attest to this, okay, because I have been in the field for several years now. They were telling me, "Ma'am, we actually cannot read." And this is a sad fact that especially in the we say, families belonging in the lower class, they say that even parents realize that they cannot actually read, no? So MKO's lack of knowledge and skills, because as what I have told you, some of the learners now are digital natives. And even the parents realize that they also have they lack knowledge and skills. So how can they help their children learn to read if they themselves cannot read? Okay? If you could only, um, be with me in some of the areas in our countries, so you would really uh, surely, do something, would want to do something in our society. Okay, and because of that, they also experience internet connectivity. That is why it became the phrase digital divide became a buzzword or a buzz phrase during pandemic, because there was really a digital divide in the society. Some, no, more parents may not necessarily have cell phones, laptops, or even tablets to cope with the demands of online or this kind of learning modality. Okay, and then they we are now faced with a very difficult situation then because of the internet connectivity. Another challenge, of course, in most of the families would be the financial challenges. Okay. In the interview that I have conducted amongst parents, they were compelled to buy smartphone because if back then, no, some of the families were, or some of the mothers were still using, if the analog. If you are aware of this, if you are still aware of this, no, um, those who are only using cell phones to simply call, but because of the pandemic, they now realize that they needed also to have smartphone. And because of that financial challenge, they had really difficulty coping with the challenge. No? Another study that I have conducted is I explored, no, I went to say uh, a rural area in the northernmost part of central Luzon. And then I tried to interview junior high school students enrolled in both public and private school. Next slide, please. So this one is when I tried to look at the critical reading strategies and gave them a reading performance exam or a reading test. And then I tried to look at whether what they're saying is basically reflected on their performance. Okay? So what did I learn? So from the 628 junior high school, I interviewed and uh, and I have given survey questionnaire. So I found out that there was really a disconnect. I'm sure that you can really relate with this problem or issue or challenge amongst students today. They thought that many, no, in the context of the paper that I have published here in the Cogent Education, there was really a disconnect. Okay, they thought that they are critical readers. Okay, they read with critical abilities. Okay, only to find out that the examination testing their critical reading skills are actually disconnected. Okay? So, meaning to say that many of the students couldn't apply critical reading strategies. Okay? So, next slide, please. So, the result of reading tests reflected otherwise. No, there was really a disconnect. Now, what is the challenge for us teachers? Okay, N- many actually in the university, many students felt that they are better. But when we give them exams, okay, we are all in awe because the score is very low. So as teachers, we need to really look at explicit teaching of reading skills. Why? Because now they say, because of the social media and the Google University, they have the ability to know everything. And then when we test their skills, the truth shall make us realize that what they are actually claiming to have known is not actually a disconnect of what is in the reality. Okay? Especially in terms of critical reading. So we need to teach explicitly, okay, critical reading skills because the this strategy or this skill is as you know, no, is an important skill if they want to be in a university or say basically college education. Okay, so let's try to look at another paper that I have uh, published. Okay. And so this one is an urban poor community. Okay. So I, my partner, my co-author, and I went to a very poor community. Okay. And then we tried to survey K to 1 mothers, no, sa kindergarten mothers and grade 1 mothers. Okay? So what did I find? What did we find out? Okay? So next slide please. All Most of the parents believed that reading is important for their children's social development and that they are aware that reading starts at home. Many mothers, parents also are convinced that reading is one of the ways in which their children can actually be successful in life. Okay? So, what do we have with this? So, if we have that conviction, If parents have that conviction that reading will lead them to success, but if you look at the second bullet, okay, there is also a disconnect. Okay, why? Because parents believe that reading is important, but that is not their priority at home. You see? Now, I want you to be self-introspective, my dear colleagues from the discipline of teaching. I really want you to really reflect on your priority in your own respective homes. Okay? So, as teachers, I hope that you also believe that reading is important and that reading will really be a ladder to to be successful in life. No, not only you telling me you are a book smart person, but reading will basically contribute for everyone to become street smart. And so let's try to look at the balance of both. Now, going back to the study that we have conducted, we were we were surprised to realize that at least uh, these parents believe that reading is important. Unfortunately, that is not their priority in their own respective homes. Why? Because for them, literacy, the meaning of literacy, my friends, for them is not how to read and write, but how to survive. Because these are very poor families. So instead of buying books or instead of spending some time with their children reading a book, their priority is to earn a living. Okay? So they don't have budget for reading materials. And because they don't have time to spend even an hour a day with their children, so reading is not their priority. But okay, my dear colleagues from the discipline of teaching. However, I think this is a very good point. No? Still, they believe that reading is important for their children's success. So, where do we come in as teachers and as educational institution? Okay, we need to really have the necessary equipment or not only knowledge, no, because that is already given for all of us teachers. We just have to be upskilled, retrained, okay, but the knowledge is there, I believe. Now, we are all teachers, we are all intelligent here, but the thing here is, are we providing enough material for those who have limited access and budget for reading materials? As educational institution, at least uh, we have no in school, if we cannot ask them to have, or if we cannot allow them to bring everything at home, at least as educational institution in our own respective schools, we have the huge amount of resources. No? We don't have the limit in terms of access for reading materials. Okay, so for the next paper, okay, this one, next slide, please. So this one is a validation of what other experts, okay, specifically the one who have uh, coined this term ARAS, no, and um, ERAS, no, adolescents reading attitude scale and the elementary reading attitude scale, ARAS and ERAS. This Dr. Michael McKenna. So I was in communication with him before I conducted this survey. Asked him to look at why there there is, no, as the discussion progresses, there is what we call a slump in in reading. Okay. Now this one is actually a survey of grade 4 to 6, but the editor was not able to uh, correct. No, it should have been grade 4 to 6. Okay. So what did I find out? Okay. So it says here that girls, okay, in terms of the gender, girls were found to have more positive attitude towards reading. Okay. It was also found out that as age increases, positive reading attitudes decline. What do we mean by that? So, in the study done in international setting, it revealed the same findings. Okay, from grades 1 to 3, learners have high positive reading attitudes. But from grade 4 to 6, as validated in the paper that I have, in the study that I have conducted, okay, from grades 4 to 6, their positive reading attitudes decline. So this one, the paper, this study that I have conducted is a validation of an international study. And then when we look at that, okay, so next slide, please. We realized, no, that there is what we call the fourth grade slump. Okay, there was a consistent pattern. Okay, even among Filipino grades 4 to 6 learners, what we call the plateau of reading. So from grades, so say nursery, kinder, grades 1 to 3 to 4, there is a high positive attitudes about reading. But when they reach grades 4 to 6, and now if you are teaching grade 4, the transition happens in that year or in that level. So look at the way you expose reading materials to your learners. Why? Because studies reveal that there is a decrease of attitude amongst our learners in terms of reading. So we need to do something, we need to intervene, we need to have some intervention and address
Pagode.
the fourth grade slump or plateau of reading. And there are several reasons why. Okay, and then uh later on I will ask you no some questions, and I hope that you'd be participative enough to help us realize what is happening in our own contexts, in your own context. Now, with that plateau of reading, okay, next slide, please. We actually have the information superhighway. I know you are already, I'm sure some of you are already overwhelmed with what they can learn using internet or using Google University, no? There is an information superhighway. We already have a lot, no? That is why sometimes I'm afraid that even mathematical problems are being solved by ChatGPT. Okay? So that ChatGPT can actually provide us the answer in just probably not a matter of 5 seconds, right? So, but however, as a teacher, I am really scared of that. Okay, because the process is not anymore learned by the student. There was a quick fix in all the problems, and that is brought about by the information superhighway. Now, let's look at the reality of the environment of learners today. Okay. Now, every one of us, and we think, no, we think our access, no, like the device, the internet connection. Otherwise, we would have not been able to have an encounter. I would not have the chance to have an encounter with you, dear teachers, if we are not connected, right? Using internet and our devices. But this is the reality of the environment of our learners today. They all have device. Okay? So we all use audio visual tools, correct? I'm sure your schools are equipped with several touch screen displays, projectors for some. And we have furniture that are purposefully there to allow our students, our learners to learn in different ways at different times. So now in here in UST, we have what we call standing desks. We also have, especially in our library there at senior high school, we have collaborative workstations. Okay. And then we have internet connection. And I'm sure your schools also have those. So this is the reality of the environment of our learners today. Now, even at home, no, I want you to realize that what we're doing at home is actually reflected with the things that we are doing in school. So, can I have a reaction here amongst our participants? Do you have a device? Do you notice that your students have devices, no? Individually. May I see a reaction, please? Would I be able to see that, Ma'am May? Ah, okay, there. So, Teacher Orangey, Teacher Abby, Teacher John Mar, Teacher Gladys, Carl Vincent, Teacher Jenny Pal, EB, okay, Teacher Rhea, Teacher Trisha, Teacher Eileen, Teacher Mahal Glenn. So, meaning to say, all of us have our own devices. And as you may have noticed, that all your teachers, all your learners also have device. So there's no problem in terms of probably their performance in school because they all have their devices. We can actually ask Google University about all the questions that we can have. But dear teachers, let's look at this. Okay, next slide, please. Despite access to information, I know that you also are convinced when I say that many students still struggle with reading comprehension and engagement. Do you agree with me, dear teachers? Thank you, Teacher Rhea. Thank you, Teacher Ivy, Teacher Lorraine, Teacher Abby Joy, Teacher Carl, Teacher John Mark, Teacher Jenny Pal, and Teacher Angel Marie, Aricel, Teacher Annie, Teacher Erica, Teacher Domelin, and all of us. No, we notice that many students struggle with reading comprehension and most especially engagement. You see, according to the studies conducted abroad, okay, our learners now have lesser attention span than goldfish. So, have you read that, my dear teachers? The attention span of our learners today is actually I'm referring to the attention span. It's less than the attention span of a goldfish. So the question is, if you can you chat in the chat box? What's the attention span of goldfish? What's the attention span of goldfish? I'm sure you're asking Google University. So let's uh Let's have a 1 million blessing for those who will answer the are they allowed to chat, Miss May?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So thank you. Uh-huh. So how do I see the chat box? Let me see. Okay. What's the attention span of goldfish? Um, and studies would say that our learners have attention level l- less than the attention level of goldfish. Diba? Isn't it really a shocking information that goldfish has better attention span than our learners today? Okay. Okay, let's see. Who chat with our chat box? Okay, so according to teacher Magbuo, teacher Guseria, okay, about 8 to 9 seconds. 9 seconds. Yan. Thank you, teachers. 9 seconds. But look at our learners' attention span today. And this is shocking. Uh, And if you ask Google University, it's less than the attention span of goldfish. Why? Why? And then there's a study was actually connected with those who are always exposed to YouTube. Di ba po? Those who are watching YouTube and if you are not, you didn't pay for a no commercial YouTube, di ba? It says here, 5, 5 seconds. You can only skip that commercial after 5 seconds. See, that has an impact to our attention level. And did you notice, my dear teachers, did you notice that when there's a commercial and then it says here 5 seconds, 5, 4, what do you feel? Di ba we get frustrated? Aminin natin. Why? Because our attention span is less than actually 5 seconds. Naiinis agad tayo. And that has actually an impact. See, not only not only in terms of you could imagine, my dear teachers, no, what would happen with our students if we give them a text that does not have illustrations. Did you notice that? Okay. Now this is what I was telling you earlier, that I do not want to dwell more with the problems because I myself it's a pain in my part to really highlight our problems. I think it's our time now to move on. Okay. And we have to do something as educational institutions. We need to work together. Okay. Reading gaps. Okay. From the from the several international assessment tests from UNICEF to World Bank. Not yet, ma'am. Not yet. Previous slide, please. Okay. So we can really say that there is the million word gap, the learning gap, and all
Ayos
the
na yung
kind,
spinner sa taas?
and
Um,
and all the gaps, no, in our learning system. Okay. Now, in one of the schools that I have been coaching last year, it's actually grade 7, level grade 7, first year high school. And this school is actually in Tarlac. No, I would not want to mention Tarlac, but this is actually a partner school of the Department of English of the University of Santo Tomas. So we give free literacy training, no, and sometimes our speakers are actually coming from our partner school in Indonesia. So what's their problem? Because many students there, say 70% of the students still do not know alphabet. They're grade 7, my dear teachers, but their reading level is still on phonemic awareness. Again, their high school, grade 7, first year high school, and yet the reading level is on phonemic awareness. It's saddening, right? And then some teachers say, Mom, we have to tell them to go back to the elementary. How come they reach grade 7 and yet they don't even know that the letter M is sounded as okay? Phonemic awareness, sound, okay? Sound system. So I'm telling them, you know, teachers are actually doctors. Why? A doctor would never send the patient at home. If there's a problem, there's a solution. There is prescription. So I tell them we cannot ask them to go back to elementary. We have to do something about it. Okay? I'm sure you have noticed, several learners like that. Now, uh, may I ask, what so far was the worst reading gap that you have noticed in your student or in your learner? Do you notice, you observe some challenges amongst your students, my dear teachers? What is the most challenging no, gap that you have seen from your learners? Okay, let's check the chat box. Mm. What is so far the most challenging gap that you have seen amongst your students, teachers? Anyone? So far, let's check. I'm sure many of you experience the difficulty of how to make our students realize the importance of uh, getting the main ideas from the text, okay, identifying author's stance, okay, very good, teacher Ivy, poor vocabulary, okay, that's very good. Actually, that's why you can see from one of the pictures that I have included, there's the million word gap. Okay. And in one of the studies that I also have conducted, actually my MA thesis, revealed that those students who have poor vocabulary performed poorly in a reading comprehension test. Okay. And that's just one of the many problems, not only vocabulary. But now, why is our webinar focused on digital literacy? Okay, because, next slide please, because we have to face the fact, yeah, thank you, Ma'am Rhea, there is really low reading comprehension. Because we have to face the fact that we live in an environment where digital information, accessibility of online information are readily available among our learners. But we need to be aware of what it takes to become digitally literate. No? So UNICEF defines digital literacy as that, as you can see from the screen. Okay? So, however, when just like what I have said earlier, if we can navigate social networking sites, do we think are can we say that we are digitally literate? Are we digitally competent? So what does it mean, my dear teachers, to say that you are digitally competent? So the next slide will give us the 5 pillars of digital literacy. So after this webinar, we must have the confidence in saying, I am digitally competent because I know by heart and by action the 5 pillars of digital literacy. Now, the Joint Research Center of the European Union established these 5 pillars of digital literacy. Okay, so what are these? Okay, the first one is, of course, information and data literacy. You are digitally competent if you are aware of the information and data literacy. What does it mean? That means that you can articulate information needs. Okay? You can locate and retrieve digital data, information and content. Okay? You can judge the relevance of the source and its content. You can store, you can manage and organize digital data, information, and content. Can we do that? No? Okay, the next pillar is what the European Union says about communication and collaboration. Okay? Nako, tayong mga Pilipino, no? Sabi nila, mananalo ulit ang Miss Universe natin kasi mabilis tayo sa collaboration in terms of uh, say uh, voting, no? Digital voting. What do we mean anyway by communication and collaboration in digital competency? Well, very good. We can interact, we can communicate, we can collaborate through digital technologies like what we're doing right now, and thank you, CNE, while being aware of cultural and generational diversity. Okay? So we have to be aware that even if what you are seeing is a screen, we have to be aware that there is human on that screen, no? The us, no? We need to participate in society through public and private digital services and participatory citizenship. Okay? We also, I think this one is important. We also need to manage our digital presence, identity, and reputation. Tandaan po natin yan. Reputation. Okay? Digital content creation. Ayan, dito tayo, the skill, no? Digital content creation, to create and edit digital content. Can we do that? When we say digital content creation, this competency, can we improve and integrate information and content into an existing body of knowledge while understanding how copyright and licenses are to be applied? Okay? So, do your schools have this capacity to, for example, in our university, we cannot just post our PowerPoint presentation if we need to take the copyright and licensing agreement. So before we make it public to the student or available to the student, there is a fielder on that. I think another is safety. Oh, I'm sure you will all agree with me when we say we need to really protect not only our devices, the content that we create online, the personal data and privacy in our digital environments, and we need to protect physical and psychological health. Okay? And we need to be aware of digital technologies for social well-being. Okay? So we need to be protected. Sometimes, no, sabi nila, connected but not connected. You are connected in the internet, but you are already excluding yourself in the society. Okay? Dapat, even if we're using digital things, we need to be included, no? Social inclusion. And then, for the safety, we have to be aware of the environmental impacts of digital technologies and their use. The last pillar of digital literacy, you can say that you are digitally competent if you can problem solve. No? You need to identify needs and problems. You need to resolve conceptual problems, situations in digital environments. Okay. Uh, we need to use digital tools to innovate and process our products. Okay. And to keep up to date with the digital evolution. Yeah. So now, my question, dear teachers, are we digitally competent? Okay. So, uh, you may not be able to answer now, but I'm sure in the future, if you have several trainings on this, especially on information and data literacy, digital content creation, we may say that we are digitally competent. Now, next slide. Why, if you notice, there is a shift from traditional to digital reading environments. From our mode of learning, which is mostly conducted in the school, okay, from what we are doing exactly today. The transfer of learning is made possible by our internet connection. Now, there is, and because of that shift from traditional learning to digital learning, there are now several definitions of literacy. So today, literacy is not anymore considered as basic literacy from being able to read and write. And then how do we learn? Before, from pen, and now to pixel. Now, that is why, sometimes I I appreciate teachers who are always, for example, when my children were around grades 1 to 2, of course we need to allow them to use the exercise, no, yung grappling. I think, did you notice for elementary teachers here, for the pandemic babies, did you notice that sometimes they have difficulty writing and they couldn't hold correctly a pencil? Did you notice that, teachers? Yes, thank you, Teacher Angel. And yes, Teacher Domilin. Several teachers were actually approaching me, Teacher Gladys, thank you for noticing that. Because of that the pandemic babies, they have, they don't know how to correctly hold a pencil. Why? That's one of the negative effects of pandemic. Again, papasok tayo. Parents do not know how to teach them how to hold correctly uh, a pen or a pencil. Okay? So that's one of the many problems that we face as teachers. Even us, no, even I in here in the university, I have noticed several of my students whose The way they hold the pen was not the way that I was taught how to hold a pen. I'm not sure because what if they are when they were in high school or junior high school to senior high school, their teachers allowed them to use their tablet or their phone for note taking. So if you are a senior high school or a junior high school, or from I think it's important to also encourage pala, no, your students to have a notebook, okay? And so I remember my son, no, approaching me very happily, and then he was given a very good grades and award actually for the best handwriting. So when when he graduated from grade 6, he was awarded as the best handwriting. Okay, so I was like, okay, because probably the grades 1 to 3 teachers were very good at allowing my child to practice handwriting, his handwriting. Okay, so it matters, no? Even not only reading pala ang problema natin ngayon. Even the simple holding of a pencil is still a problem until now. Okay? Now, we try to look at this next slide. When I was telling you earlier about the different definitions of literacy, okay, from 1978 to 2010, uh, there is really a varied definition of literacy, not only uh, focused on being able to read and write. Now, if you can scan, the definition of literacy. Actually, Philippines also has its own version or the definition of literacy. And now sometimes I am getting confused with the definition of literacy because now they're looking at functional literacy, where in fact, no, in my case, being the one who really uh, I'm really a passionate, no, enthusiast of reading education, no. The definition of reading literacy, the definition of literacy sometimes have a disconnect, no, with what is our and in the context of our environment. Okay. Now, because of that shift from traditional environment to digital, okay, so we go to the next slide, we have to realize that reading demands also change. Okay. What do we mean by reading demands to also change? Now, from decoding to reading. Okay. Now, my dear teachers, when we say decoding, now you can basically decode what is projected in the slide. But if there is no understanding, that is what? That is not actually reading. What I want you to realize right now is decoding is different from reading. So in the discipline of reading class, when we say reading, it means that there is an automaticity. No? There is an automatic uh, decoding and understanding, and it goes in an instant, no, in an instant, like you don't have to think. The time lapse is very minimal, no. When you say decoding, it means barking at the print. Okay, when we say reading, there is understanding, but the definition of reading or literacy again is changing, no? Before they say when you read there should be comprehension. Ngayon po, the challenge is when you read, there is valuing of what you have read. Now, reading demands also change. What do we mean by that? Because people might have a very, they say that the most natural activity of humans is reading. Okay. Reading is the most natural human activity in the world. That sometimes you actually do not know that you're reading. Okay. We are all, I think all the participants are coming from Manila. Tama ba, Miss May? Or NCR?
All regions, ma'am. Opo.
All regions.
Yes,
So,
ma'am. Opo.
okay.
Multiple participants po from different regions registered
So,
for the
yeah,
webinar.
thank you for informing me because we try to look at this, no? When the appreciation or the valuing of a person depends on the text. Now, if you are already overly familiar from the text, sometimes you take it for granted. And we do something as teachers, huh? We do something about it so that that text may have an impact or will have an impact to our students. O halimbawa, dito tayo sa NCR. I'm not sure with other provinces, but I have not seen one like this. Are you aware of the signage yung, syempre, bawal tumawid? Can I have a reaction? Bawal tumawid. Have you seen? Have you seen this? Yeah, thank you, Teacher Angel. Thank you, Teacher Carl Vincent, Jade Catherine, Gladys, Arisel, Jenny, Lorraine, Amor, Mark Joseph, Jenny. Okay, bawal tumawid. May nakikita pa rin po ba kayong tumatawid kahit may signage na bawal tumawid? Yes, thank you, Teacher Ivy. Yes, okay. So, reading is not valued, correct? Because the text is overly familiar. Thank you, Teacher Jenna. Yes. Anong ginawa ng MMDA or whoever is doing the announcement? Sabi nila, bawal tumawid, nakamamatay. Tama po ba? May nakita na po ba kayong ganyan? Bawal tumawid, nakamamatay. Nadagdagan. Reading demands also change. Kasi nga, the signage bawal tumawid is overly familiar that the readers do not anymore uh, feel the value of that. So pinalitan, bawal tumawid, nakamamatay. Pero have you noticed that a lot of pedestrians still cross kahit na may ganun? Bawal tumawid, nakamamatay. May tumatawid pa rin. Binago na po yun ngayon, mga kapatid. Yan, tama si Teacher Ivy. Bawal tumawid, may namatay na dito. You see, this is an analogy of what we do in the classroom. If we think that the text is overly familiar with the students or with our learners, we do something with how this text can have an impact to them. So from simply decoding, being able to read, oh, nabasa ko na. There is no understanding. That is not reading. That's only decoding. Barking at the print. Okay. Bakit siya barking at the print? Decoding is barking at the print. Why? Because the analogy is barking, no? Using dogs. Why barking at the print? What does the dog do when it sees a stranger? What does the dog do when it sees a stranger? Okay, thank you, Teacher Gladys. The dog barks. Thank you, Arisel. The dog barks. Why? Because the dog sees a stranger. Just like in reading, teachers. When you decode, you bark because you don't understand. Pero, when you read with understanding, that's reading, that's not anymore barking. Tingnan nyo po, what does the dog do when it sees its owner? Oh, sino po yung may mga aso dito? Who 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 here owns a dog? So Teacher Gladys, may aso, nag-aalaga siya ng aso at Teacher Aricel, 'di ba? Correct, Teacher Angel and Ivy or EB. So the dog wags its tail. So the dog does not bark. Why? Oh, yeah. The dog jumps and then zoomies and then wags the tail. Why? Because what it sees is not actually a stranger. So there is a connection, mga kapatid. That is the difference between decoding and reading. When you say decoding, there is no connection. You simply are able to sound out words. But when you say reading, you have a connection. That is why you value the things that you are connected with. You see, even the dogs value us by not barking at us. Rather, when our dogs see us, they wag their tails. They sometimes kiss us, and sometimes they um uh like they're doing something, no? Like even the saliva, no? Parang we feel the connection. That, my friends, is reading when we have the connection with the text. Okay, now, dito na tayo papasok because reading demands also change. We need to be adapt with necessary digital literacy tools that support reading. Okay? So, tingnan natin. And we think CNE, no? Next slide, please. What are the available digital literacy tools? I'm not sure if you are being trained by CNE, but when we were discussing this topic, so I asked them, okay, do you have interactive reading platforms? Yes, and they have Amira Learning. As you can see, Amira is an AI-powered reading tutor that listens to just child read aloud. So I'm not sure if you're aware that we also had a seminar on mothers last time, but I think that was October 26.
October
Amira
18.
October 18. Sorry.
Yes.
Yes. Um, they gave uh we had the games like last time, right, May?
Yes, we had the parents activity.
Opo, yan. So, for them to realize that CNE has it all. So, because what are the things that we need to learn as teachers in the digital world? And this basically will mean that we need to have literacy tools. Okay? So, digital literacy tools, you should consider that there is an interactive reading platform. There should be interactive reading platforms in our classroom. Okay? I'm sure CNE will train you in this. Okay? Another thing is we must have assistive technologies. What do we mean by assistive technologies? Okay? Now, the features of MyOn, Amira Learning, and Picatail, they are considered assistive technologies. In what ways? I'm sure CNE personnel will teach you on this. Now, we another thing that we do here in the university, okay, we have annotation and collaboration tools. Okay? And so I asked CNE, do you have annotation and collaboration tools? So meron din pala sila, no, my on. Okay? So here in UST, of course we have several, no? And we also have several trainings on that. We have what we call a tech coordinator where we are trained regularly before the semester commences. Meron kaming mga tutorial din. Because as you all know, some of the university students are really equipped with digital references. no? And ang gagaling. So they're very smart, no? But in my case, I should be smarter than my students. So we need to have this annotation and collaboration tools. So ilan na yon? Tatlo na. Dapat in your school, you must have a digital literacy that is considered an interactive reading platforms. Tapos meron tayong assistive technologies. And then we have annotation and collaboration tools. I'm sure you have experienced this, or probably some of you may have experienced this annotation and collaboration tools. Or students are very interested, no? Especially if sometimes we have online class. So when students are allowed to annotate and collaborate, they feel so excited. Now, now, if you still do not have this annotation and collaboration tools, meron tayo yung Google Docs. No, I ask my students to use Google Docs where they can share their thoughts and syempre knowledge. Okay? So we have several, no? And then we also have the literacy tools in your digital literacy tool. You must have a data driven tools. And say again, I ask my Miss May, no, oh, do you have data driven tools? Meron pala. Ayan, Marion, Amira Learning, and Picatel also. So these are the tools that you can use. And I'm sure again, CNE will give you a training on this. Okay? Yeah, correct ba, Miss May? I'm sorry if I ask this. You're training them, right?
For the partner educators where the schools have subscribed certain digital solutions, we provide trainings for the partner educators.
Uh,
But that is whichever of the digital solutions the school is subscribed to. I believe so that some of the schools are subscribed to only one, but there are those that are subscribed to more than one. And we
ah,
also ensure po that they are trained po to use these tools for their everyday teaching activities.
ayan. So, 'di naman po pala kayo pababayaan ng CNE. Okay. Now, the next thing is, maybe you might ask me, so what's next after having these tools? How do these tools close reading gaps? Okay. So number one, it might be somehow we need to be looking at personalized and adaptive learning. Okay. Uh, I'm sure in our classrooms, there are some corners where it's intended for the class personalized use. Okay. Uh, in the digital reading platforms, they often use algorithms to adjust text difficulty based on a student's reading level and progress. So when we were discussing this, I think May informed me that there's an app that they're using wherein the text difficulty can be adjusted. And there is also an app where the learners can actually the teachers can determine their reading level and progress. Am I correct, CNE?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. And then we also have these digital tools, as you know, enhance engagement and motivation because our learners are highly digital nowadays. Okay. Sometimes in the traditional reading, especially if they are high school now, sometimes they feel static or disconnected for digital age learners. And however, we have to be very careful with how we use digital tools because in terms of learning, okay, in terms of learning, there are several studies, no? Actually, we look at the boon and pain, no, of digital tools. So we have to make sure that we strike the balance of both. Okay, in terms of, especially in terms of engagement and motivation. However, okay, we can use digital tools, like especially if the tools have interactive features such as animations, quizzes, and gamified rewards. I see my students who are actually enrolled in public schools. No, their teachers also use gamification, yung mga online quizzes, no? Um, I'm sure there are. I just forgot the name, no, in the website, but they have been allowing my children to use. Next is, of course, the number three, how digital tools close reading gaps is accessibility and inclusivity. Now, again, everything should be done purposely in the classroom, in the learning environment. We have to check on the accessibility of digital tools. Remember in my early discussion, I said that uh, there is digital divide, and that is very true, especially if our learners belong to the poorest of the poor community. So we have to really be careful with our demands as a classroom or as a learning facilitator. Now, digital tools make reading more inclusive for students with diverse learning needs. Bawa, I'm sure in the software or applications available, we have the text to speech, no? We have adjustable fonts. Sometimes there are also translations, okay, and visual aids. If you have you had an experience of students with dyslexia or vision impairments? Do you have students with dyslexia, vision impairments, language barriers? Do you have those kinds of students, my dear teachers? Yes po, Teacher Angel. Now, these digital tools, yes, thank you, Teacher Leah. These digital tools, okay, you may have an access to reading materials in formats. Oh, Teacher Rhea also has students with dyslexia, vision impairments, or language barriers. No, now these digital tools, no, you may have access to reading materials in formats that support their learning styles. Okay, uh, parang last time it was very interactive because the parents were asked to create a storybook. So I think it was fun. And then there was a prize, no? It's more fun. Yung pag may prize, it's more. Now, number four is collaboration and critical thinking. Okay? So what do we mean by collaboration and critical thinking? Some would really say that my students in my case, no, they love it when during the class I would give them some collaboration activities, you know, and then they can really easily present, no. I'm amazed with how students nowadays can, lalo na if they have Canva app, no. I'm still a lover of PowerPoint, sorry, but most of my, because of the internet connection, no, you're using Canva, but sometimes if you don't have internet connection, you have difficulty presenting, and it takes time, no. So in my case, I would ask my students if they're going to present in class to convert, no, that Canva to PDF, kasi it's better in terms of presentation. Okay. Uh, I'm sure you have all access to Google Docs, no, yung collaboration. So remember that digital reading is not just an individual activity. It can foster collaboration. What do we mean by collaboration? kailangan maintindihan nating lahat ito. We have shared digital spaces, no? A very unique example is, or a common example would be Google Docs. Okay, so Padlet. These allow students to annotate, comment, discuss texts in real time. And you would be surprised with how they really talk about the topic, no? Especially if, for example, your reading is on your task is to describe the character of the story and why you think this character decides on that, no? And how about your personal experience? Did you have also an experience with you can share with the class that is similar to the character in the story. Naku, because they're university student no, na wala ang haba ng kwentuhan. Okay? Now, what's the impact of collaboration and critical thinking? Okay? Of course, if you give them appropriate activities, no, to express their interpretations. Okay? So, because in reading po mga teachers, no, if you are in a reading session, there is no right or wrong answer. No? Why? Because their interpretation may be different and you have to process it. You should not, later on in the monitoring and feedbacking, I will explain this why. No? And then with this shared interpretation, you're able to allow them to express their own interpretations. You know, there is a high possibility that they will really have, say, uh, higher engagement. Okay. Next is bridging the gap between school and home. Okay. Uh, when we speak of bridging the gap, no, we realized during the pandemic that we really need our homes, that our children's homes to be part of the learning process. Okay, and then we enlighten the parents that we need you. You know, this is my I think teachers, this is my lifetime clamor amongst parents who believe that they are sending their school to learn, but learning starts at home. No? Kagaya ito sa I'm going to conduct a parent seminar in Masinloc, Zambales this third Friday of this month. Then these are parents coming from a not so rich family. And then emphasizing, I would really emphasize that it takes a village to raise a child. That's an African adage, which is until now not very true. It takes a village to raise a child. Hindi kaya ng school yan lang. At lalong hindi kaya ng bahay lang. So we need to bridge the gap between school and home. So I'm going to really admire you if you have a very good program that includes our family, our own respective homes, because our children would really feel the self-actualization amongst children will be high if there is really a good partnership between school and home. Now, these digital tools close reading gaps by bridging the gap between school and home. How? You know, we digital literacy tools, of course, extend learning beyond the classroom, beyond the book. Okay. No, for example, cloud-based reading programs can be accessed at home. No? And this time, you allow the parents to support their child's progress. So I'm sure in one of the apps there, no, there is um, an information that parents can access to support their child's and to know and support their child's progress. We need to look at the consistent exposure nga lang, no, to reading materials that strengthen skills and nurtures lifelong reading habits. Okay? So this is a very good positive impact of digital tool. But of course, dear parents, we need to, we need to have these best practices for implementation of digital tools. I'm sure you will agree with me that digital tools are still not enough. Okay. Now in our next slide, what are the best, no? What are the best practices for implementation of these digital tools? Okay. Number one, it should be blended learning approaches. No. As a reading advocate, okay, we need to combine traditional reading with digital supports. Hindi lang siya solely digital support. Okay? Do you agree with me? Can you can you share later on your best practices for implementation? But I hear in the blended learning approaches, we should not take for granted traditional reading, no? Reading using printed material. Okay? So remember that digital literacy tools support, no, traditional reading pa rin. It cannot be, no, it cannot be that we leave the other one and then take for granted the other one. It should always be a balance of both. And then we have the family and community engagement. I think this is, this is one of my disappointments, honestly, because sometimes there is no community engagement. Have you seen a barangay captain whose program is on reading? Meron po ba kayong kilala na ang programa ng barangay captain ay sa pagbasa o sa edukasyon? Meron po ba kayong kilalang SK chairman na ang priority ay education? Parang wala. See? Paliga lang, sabi ni Teacher Gladys. Paliga lang. Totoo, di ba? So, I think, yeah, wala. Puro paliga. Wala namang masama sa sports. Pero what I'm trying to emphasize here is, even our local leaders do not see education as their topmost priority. 'Di ba? So, family and community engagement. Next is ongoing assessment. This one is highly important, my dear teachers, because later on, no, I'll discuss something about this. Because if you have the data, no, it's it's a very good point, no, to refine our instruction. So let us not take for granted all the quizzes that you have, all the digital tools that you are provided for, because this will be important to refine your instruction. And then we also have educators sharing tools and strategies. Um, do you share? Do you have here? I'd like to share. No, we have brown bag session. Pag sinabi natin brown bag session, all our um, research interest group, all members of the research interest group will gather together and share everything na based on what we do as individual researcher, what we do in the community. So there is an open discussion. Although we have very busy schedule, so at least we schedule once a month to, or once every 2 months, to gather together and share with the group, what is going on with our research. So amongst you, dear teacher, do you have collaboration among educators, among teachers? What do you do to share tools and strategies? So if you have not been doing this, if you have not done this, I think you need to sit together, okay, and then share. your best practices. So here in UST, we have meeting before the semester commences, and we are grouped according to the courses. Ayan, si Ma'am Gladys. Thank you, Ma'am Gladys. Monthly Professional Learning Community. So, what is happening there, Ma'am Gladys? Can you share with the group? Would it be okay, Ma'am May, if I ask Ma'am Gladys?
Okay, wait lang, ma'am. Mm.
Okay. Ma'am Gladys, can you share what is happening there in your community?
Teacher Gladys, if you can just open your mic, you are given permission to do so po. But if you feel more comfortable in sharing your thoughts in the chat box, just go ahead po. Thank you, Miss Gladys.
Thank you, Miss May. Okay, so okay. Thank you, Ma'am Gladys, for the collaboration with your OB-GYN and us educators. Okay, thank you. So in that in that, what's that PL? Let me see the chat box. With the professional learning community, they're sharing their best practices. Yan. Simple lang na. A simple gatherings with, for example, coffee and pandesal, no, in the morning. Or what have you been doing in your class? No, I thought I can use this, no. I share, no, we have repository of and share what teaching strategies work best. Ayan. Okay. So that magandang gawain 'yun, no? Now in terms of we go back to the ongoing assessment, no? Kasi assessment, as what I have said, we use data. We use the scores of the quizzes, the exit slips that you've been using in class to refine our instruction. Okay? Now, next slide please. So meron tayong tinatawag na in terms of feedback and monitoring, no? Yung tinatawag nating sandwich feedback. Ang tawag din dito ay PIP or PCP. Positive, improvement, positive. Positive, constructive, positive. So remember when I say that you must, as teachers, we must have uh, a critical friend. Yan. So sandwich feedback because your feedback should start with positive. The feedback, after that positive feedback, you go to how your learners can improve their performance. And that feedback, my friends, should be constructive feedback. You need to identify areas. So kaya tingnan nyo po, no, sa sandwich, meaty yung inside. Because these are going to be areas of improvements and sources of concern. And you need to give actionable tips also. And then, you end it with positive notes or positivity again. So, kailangan po natin yan. Halimbawa, next slide please. For example, you observe general reading performance. Sabi, this is the way you will handle the situation if you are giving a general feedback about reading performance of your students. You know. So you start with positive. Oh, you did a great job expressing enthusiasm and confidence while reading aloud. No, your tone kept the audience engaged. Okay. Actually, uh, this comment I have given this to the teachers. I am training at San Narciso, Quezon Province, where I gave a training on how to read aloud. No, so that experience was a very enlightening one because I realized that even teachers need to be trained on how to read aloud. Okay, so I gave a comment, no, positive comment first because the teacher was really enthusiastic. No, was really The tone was everywhere. You know, the 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 grade three pupils are really in awe. They were in awe with how the teacher read aloud the text of the big book. And so so the tone was everywhere. Tapos sabi ko sa kanya, "But sir, next time, try to slow down a bit and pause at punctuation marks to make your reading clearer and easier to follow." Okay? So and then I gave examples, no? For example, when you read this, I think you were overwhelmed with your emotion that you forgot that you need to pause because there's a comma. Pero sir, overall, your effort and improvement are noticeable. So in the next demonstration teaching, and I think you need to keep practicing, and then you'll continue to sound even more natural and expressive. But just these are things that we can do, no, in the our observation. Okay. So, next naman yung sa reading comprehension. Kanina general reading performance. Positive. Oh, that's amazing. Amazing that you showed a very strong understanding of the story's main idea and you could summarize the key points well. Okay. It would be even better if you included more evidence from the text to support your answers and interpretations. For example, paano mo nasabi na masaya yung character? Ano sa text yung nagsabi, no, na nagpa-realize sa'yo na masaya or malungkot yung character? Ano saang page mo nakita, no, or nabasa? Saan mo ito naintindihan? Anong paragraph? Kasi mas maganda na may evidence ka, no, may katibayan ka talaga na para you have to support your answer. And can you please, now your answer can also be based on the text or based on your experience. Do you have an experience that would also allow you to have an answer like that? What was your experience? Did you have the same experience as the author? Yan. Now, sabi ko, now you're clearly thinking deeply about what you read. I am um I am very positive, no, that when you do that, you stay connected with what you have understood from the text, keep building on that insight by connecting ideas and giving real life example. No teachers, I, what I realized, no, in my 23 years of researching reading, doing conducting training, webinar, and all those field works that I have been doing in my life for 23 years, what I noticed is that when students felt connected with what they are reading, they will never forget it. no? It gives me goosebumps when I see my students before who talked about a story that we have read in class and how this was able to make them realize the value of connecting, saying, no, I tell to them, I emphasize it that what you're learning in the classroom is not isolated in what you are actually experiencing outside the classroom. So don't think of what you are learning in the class as something isolated because everything is interconnected. Kaya nga, reading, di ba? Kaya when you are in the reading session, you make sure that the skills are connected. They are able to listen to you, they are able to read, they are able to speak, they are able to write, and they are able to read and to view something. Kaya digital literacy are tools that we need in order to support, no, the reading performance of the class, of our students. We just have to be equipped with the necessary knowledge and skills. Okay. And then for teachers who are doing oral reading and fluency, so one article says that the most taken for the most taken for granted reading instruction is fluency. So so if you're doing an oral reading and fluency and you want to give feedback to your classmates, no, you would say, "Oh, I'm glad that your pronunciation and voice projection have improved a lot. Now I can tell you that you read with confidence. Okay, next time, try to work on your pacing and expression to match the emotions or tone of the passage. Sometimes I am confused with your facial expressions. Sometimes it's not aligned with what you are reading in class." Okay? And then end it with a positive note. Okay? With your confidence and your positive attitude, and of course, consistent practice, you're on track to become a very fluent reader. Remember that if we are a fluent reader, that is also a sign of a good comprehension. Yan. Oh, critical reading skills naman tayo. Uh, you ask insightful questions, no? And make connections between the text and real life situations. I think to strengthen your analysis, you could focus more on identifying the author's purpose or bias in the text. Because sometimes, most of the time, no, if you are discussing text, you need to also establish the author's purpose. Okay, and then more than you, teacher, giving the interpretation. Oh, I think I'm very good. This is my most favorite example to explain this. Yung author's purpose. Ah, author's purpose si Jose Rizal, no? Ito paborito ko talaga 'to, no. Isa lang ang sumulat ng Noli Me Tangere at El Filibustrismo, tama po ba? So teachers, are you with me? Isa lang po ang sumulat nun, ano po? El Filibustrismo at Noli Me Tangere. Yes. At yun ay ang ating pambansang bayani. Si Dr. Jose Rizal na nag-aral dito sa UST. Anyway, you have, so when I say, okay, can you check class, what is the purpose of Jose Rizal in his novel Noli Me Tangere, and what is the purpose of Dr. Jose Rizal in his novel El Filibusterismo? Okay. So you notice that the characters seem so timid in Noli Me Tangere. However, the characters in El Filibusterismo, they're already aggressive. They wanted to uh, really do something about the freedom of the country. Okay? So in the texts that we are asking our students to read, or we read to the children, to our learners, we need to look at the purpose of the author. Kaya nga we do authorial studies. Okay? Ayan. So, and sometimes, my dear teachers, learners do not know that. Sobra namang real life connection yun ginagawa natin. Okay yun, walang problema doon. But let us not take for granted the purpose of the author. Okay? Halimbawa, yung anak, yung during the pandemic, I think, sabi ng anak ko yung, I saw, nakakita, one day, isang araw, I saw, nakakita, one bird, isang ibon, flying, lumilipad. I shoot, binaril ko, I cook, niluto ko, I eat, kinain ko. So after no'n, after watching that, 'cause the teacher asked the pupils to watch that na, mga folk songs. You know what? Nalungkot yung anak ko. So real life situation connection, no? We talk about birds and then suddenly here's the teacher asking them to watch this without processing. So nalungkot yung anak ko. Ay bakit? So natuwa naman ako kasi nalungkot yung anak ko. Ibig sabihin, naawa siya sa bird. Pero if you're the teacher, you do it purposely. Hindi mo siya agad bibigyan-bigyan ng ganung teksto. Okay po? So, ito yung sinasabi natin na everything should be done purposely in class with a purpose. You just don't give a text because that's what it says in the curriculum. So, dapat may purpose yan. And then, as usual, we end no, in a positive note. Now, what are the things that we need to do in the monitoring strategies na tayo? So, feedback, you make the framework is sandwich framework, no? Positive, constructive, positive. Pero how do we do monitoring strategies? Can you check if that's included in the slide, Ma'am May? Okay, running records. Monitoring strategies on reading performance of learners. Do you have a running record as teacher, no? As the teacher listens to students, read a passage. I think sa grades 1, 2, 3, this is evident, right? We have running records. So, meron tayong mga miscues by Kenneth Goodman and Yeta Goodman. So, the teacher listens to a student read a passage aloud and records errors. I think we're doing this for grades 1 to 3. What's the purpose? We identify the decoding skill, accuracy rate, and reading fluency. However, in running records should be conducted regularly, halimbawa, monthly. And then may data ka dyan. You see? We are a very busy professionals. The next is, do you have reading logs in monitoring strategies, reading logs or journals? Okay, thank you, Teacher Ivy. I think this is a powerful monitoring strategy. Okay. Students keep a daily or weekly log of what they read, including reflections or summaries. Here in my class, here in UST, so I have a portfolio. No? Later on, we will talk about portfolio. And then the reading logs or journals, they encourage reading habits and helps monitor reading volumes, comprehension, and interests. I remember, no? Sorry. I remember when I was in elementary, can you share with me? Just please give a reaction if our teacher in elementary asked you to write a diary. Anyone who has experienced writing a diary because it was a required project by the teacher? Ayan, kami ni teacher Angel Marie. We were required. No? And then, you know what? I noticed the teachers, yes, teacher Trisha din. The teachers of my students, ayan, si teacher Domilin din, pinagsulat ng diary kasi requirement. So, my I noticed my children were actually, when they were in elementary, probably lower elementary, no? Grade 4 yata yung bunso ko. I saw the diary just last week, no? Because the teacher required them to write a diary. Then we have, com next slide please, no? Comprehension quizzes and exit tickets. Yan, may mga uh, quizzes, yan. Short assessments after reading sessions to check understanding of key ideas. Mga exit slips na ginagamit natin. Halimbawa ng exit slips. Give your one most important reaction about the story that we have read. O, ano yun? 1/8. Can I ask you to get 1/8 sheet of pad paper, class, and then can you draw an emoticon to tell me whether you have liked the story that we've read? Or can you create a symbol of the text that we have used today or of the poem that I read to you? Yan. So, minsan may mga teachers na gumagamit ng Kahoot. Alam niyo po yun, no? Yan. Quizzes. Okay. Mabilis naman yun, no? I'm not sure if it has a payment. I'm not sure if CNE offers digital tools like that, no? I'm sure you have. Okay. Yeah, I think this one is also good. Reading conferences. You one-on-one meetings where teacher discuss a student's reading progress, challenges and goal, especially for the students you think students that are or learners that are at extreme, no? Pag sinabi natin extreme, those who are lagging behind the performance of other classmates and those who are very advanced, no? Because those very advanced students might find your class boring. So you need to have reading conferences. Baka you need to give more tasks or probably be the leader of the session for those advanced students, no? And then do something about those students who are or learners who are lagging behind their classmates. Now, for this, I think the purpose for the reading conferences is a personalized feedback. However, with the many things that we do as a teacher, kaya pa ba? So this is just like 10-minute a session. Okay. Okay. Next one is fluency checks. Like what I've told you earlier, fluency is the most taking for granted reading skill. Okay. But when you allow them, give them, a lot of practice, uh, you will surely notice the difference before they how they read before and now how they're reading in class. Because the purpose of fluency checks is to track growth in speed, accuracy, and expression. Now, in my case, I would encourage you to use the same passage periodically, okay, to gauge improvement over time. Now, when you are discussing something, one story, no, hindi po siya dapat araw-araw iba-iba yung story. Sometimes it takes a week to process one story. Okay, for especially for our grades 1 to 3 teachers. So one story we process, one poetry or one poem can be processed in a week. So every week, iba yung focus natin. So for example, this day, you day one of this poem one, your focus is on building background knowledge, what they know about the poem, how do they see the pictures on the front cover. Okay, day two of poem one pa rin, you can also now focus on phonemic awareness. How does this letter sound? What's the difference when you put this sound and then partner it with another vowel? What is the difference between the sound? So ganon. Hanggang masaulo nila yung poem. Day 1 to day 5, you process one poem, however you say that. Okay? And then on day 5, they will certainly memorize the poem, thereby adding a lot of vocabulary. Okay? So that's fluency check. But of course, the next thing is digital reading platforms with analytics. I'm sure, no, I'm sure Miss May will discuss something about digital reading platforms with analytics. This will definitely give you timely feedback if you're using this. Make sure, no, make sure to maximize. Kasi some of us, when you have digital tools like this, you take it for granted. No, that is these are all powerful strategies or tools that we can make use of in the class to really make our students learners more empowered. So if you can record, no, their way of reading on day one, Okay, okay. Now we'll record day 2, 3, 4, 5. Ano? Magandang reflection of our own instruction and how our learners learn. And this, do we do this? I do this. Peer and self-assessment. Hanggang ngayon, even if they are in college now. Next slide, please. Peer and self-assessment. So I give time for them to have some assessment, no, with their peer and then with themselves. No, you ask your learners to evaluate their own classmate in terms of their reading fluency, in terms of pronunciation and comprehension, but of course, they should have a rubric. What's the purpose of this? It promotes reflection and accountability for learning. And I think the last one is portfolio assessment. Okay. So, have you been asking your students to have a portfolio? Meron po bang nagpapa-portfolio sa inyo dito? Kanina meron daw sa reading logs and journals. How about portfolio? In my case, no, because I teach writing, research, academic writing, I ask my students to just keep everything, all the writing outputs that they have, that we accomplish in class, everything from personal to formative assessment to all kinds, no, of writing tasks are included in the portfolio. And at the end of the term, I will ask them to summarize everything that they have learned from the first task to the now they are able to submit a research proposal. I think we also have digital portfolio. I'm not sure if in your school you have a limit, no, in terms of the storage capacity, because kami in UST, uh, we don't have limit, no, in terms of the storage, because we probably the university invested in this, so we don't have a limit in terms of storage. I'm not sure you in your own respective schools if you have a limit, but I think that's the digital portfolio, which sometimes you have G Drive and then the link is sent to me so I can visit their digital portfolio. Okay. Now, I think next slide, please. Remember that the digital literacy tools are essential for closing reading gaps. Okay, remember that. Now that we are in the world that ultimately will expose our students in digital world and information superhighway, we really need to be adept in digital literacy tools because um, they are powerful instruments for closing reading gaps. However, dear teachers, we need to embrace and innovate with digital resources to ensure equitable literacy growth. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah. But remember that technology enhances, not replaces traditional reading instruction. I want you to remember this, dear teachers. Technology enhances, digital literacy tools enhance, but they do not replace traditional reading instruction. We have to strike a balance of both. Next slide, please. And just like what I have said, we embrace and innovate with digital resources to ensure equitable literacy growth